Greetings from the Richland Hills Public Library. I'm Miranda, the youth librarian, and today I'm going to teach you something that is a little near and dear to my heart. We're going to learn some basic printmaking using stuff that you can typically find at home. Now, the styrofoam you might not find at home, but I think a lot of us are doing at least some of our eating out right now, so it should be easy enough to get some. So you need some form of paper. I'm going to be using sketch pad paper because it's a little bit thicker than normal paper, and for printmaking that can be really useful. Then we're going to use our styrofoam. Then you'll need a pair of scissors, a paintbrush, some paints. For the paints, it is preferable that it's not an acrylic-based paint. It can be, but water-based is going to be much better for this project. For a lot of different reasons. Then of course some water, and then a cloth or something to help you with cleanup and messy fingers along the way. Alright, so let's get ourselves set up here. We're going to get our cup of water. Okay, so this is our canvas that we'll be using. You can see I've already got one cut out. You do need for it to be a flat surface. So you can see with my styrofoam here, I really only have this interior to work with. So I'm just going to cut that out real fast. And don't forget to make sure that your styrofoam is nice and clean, because the paint may not react well to any food oils that are on the styrofoam itself. Okay, just trim it up. And then on this little piece of styrofoam canvas, you can do just about anything you want to. Pictures, designs, patterns. The only thing you have to keep in mind is that if you want to do any type of writing, you will have to do it backwards. Because once it gets written on there, you're going to flip it over and press it down, and then if you write it in the normal way, then your words are going to be backwards in the print. Alright, so, oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot a pen. You can use the tip of a paintbrush for this part, but a pen will give you different lines. In fact, you know what? Let me show you just real fast the ones that I've already made. So, these were really simple and quick, and I did it to show a couple of different kinds of techniques that you can do with your own printmaking. This one, my funky little kitty cat, was done with the tip of a paintbrush, so you can kind of see that the lines are a lot thicker. You can see where some of the paint didn't quite wash off, and that's okay. And for each one of these prints that I made, I printed, and then I washed it off, and then I printed again, and I washed it off, and I printed again, so on and so forth. And then once you're done with the actual printmaking part, then you can add extra details and things. You know, you can color in the lines, you can add extra paint and stuff like that, which is what I did with my kitty cat. Over here, I just did like a random crazy kind of design, and with this one I didn't wash the paint off so that you could see what I did. So I just very quickly brushed on some purple, and then I brushed on some green over it, and then I just laid it down flat. And then with this one, instead of washing the paint off after every single time, I added paint to it, and you can kind of see it gradually, it gradually gets darker the further along that it goes. So that's something to keep in mind when you're doing your own printmaking project, depending on how you want your eventual final prints to look. Alright, so now comes the fun part of doing a design. And the styrofoam is a little bit hard to work with. It doesn't do curves and things very well, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's one of the fun things about printmaking, is that it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not expected to be perfect. Every print that you make is going to be different. Even when you're using the same block for your printing. You can get these pretty deep. In fact, you want them pretty deep. But you don't want it to go through all the way to the other side if you can help it. Okay, and as you can see, my pen kind of stopped writing as I was doing my little curly cues there, but that's okay. It's really just there for guidelines. And then I'm going to show you what I meant about the words. So for the first word, I'm going to write it the regular way. Okay, and then I'm going to write the same word beneath it backwards as best as I can. Okay, there we go. So we have hello. Whoops, let me turn it that way. We have hello written the right way, and then we have hello written backwards. Let's see what it looks like when we get ready to print it. So we'll get out our piece of paper. I like this sketchbook paper because it's a square, and for these little styrofoam bits, it was just the perfect size to do like a group print. But for this one, I'm just going to put it straight in the middle. All right. Oh, you know what? Let me get another piece. For at home, I would definitely recommend having something beneath you, unless you've got a table that you don't care about getting paint all over. Newspapers, plastic wrap, just about anything that will keep your paper or your table clean. Okay. So here are these paints that I think we just snagged at Kroger. They're nice. They're a little perfumey smelling, which is weird. Okay, and for this one, I'm gonna do like a... Now for real printmaking, you would actually have a roller, or what they call a brayer. I do have one of those, but I figured that not a lot of y'all would, because that's a pretty non-stereotypical thing to have in your house. So just a normal paintbrush of any kind is going to be just fine. You don't want the paint to go on too thickly. Just a very light coating. It is okay if it gets down into your lines. Don't worry about that so much. Also, normally I would be washing off my paintbrush in between, but since I'm not overly concerned about that with this, we should be okay. Okay, once you've got your paint on there the way that you want it, it is a pretty fast process because you don't want your paint to dry. Then you're gonna press it down into the middle of your paper. And then you are just gonna press. You don't wanna press super, super hard, but you do wanna give it a decent amount of pressure. Just make sure that you hit all your edges, and then make sure you get your center and your sides. And ideally, if you had enough paint on there, which I don't think I did for this one, if you had enough paint on there, and if you press down hard enough, then your styrofoam should stick to the paper. In this case, you can see it didn't quite stick all the way around. That's okay. And I'm gonna use my rag to get some of my excess paint off. This is a messy project. And then we're just gonna peel off. And just like that, you can see my original hello, the one up top here, is now backwards, and the one that I wrote backwards is now legible. So when you're doing, if you do any writing in your design, definitely don't forget that, that it's gonna be switched around and mirrored. But there it is, a super easy printmaking project. What I discovered is that these styrofoam prints, they probably last for like a good 4 to 5 printings, and then they start to degrade. So, you know, you can only print with them so many times before the pressure that you're putting onto the styrofoam messes up your design. And you can even see that on the design that I did, this design that I did. So like this was the first one that I did, and you can see how nice and clear all of the lines are. Now some of this has to do with the fact that I was just adding paint on every single time, but then you can start to see in certain areas where the printing and the markings that I've made have actually started to degrade because I've been pressing down so hard. So just keep that in mind. It's not going to last forever, but you can get a good 4 to 5 prints out of it before you have to make a new one. And then you can do all kinds of designs like this and put them all together in different ways. You can try different color varieties. There's a lot of fun to be had with this project and a lot of different things that you can do with it. Different sizes, different stamps that you can make, all kinds of cool stuff. So feel free to go wild. And if you decide to make your own printmaking project, please post in the comments on Instagram or on Facebook and show us your designs. We'd love to see them. Thank you so much for coming to our activity time today, and I hope to see you next time.